الحمد لله رب العالمين وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وعملا متقبلا يا أرحم الراحمين. We continue by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's blessings these reflections on the lives of the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, the best of people after the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam. We are still talking about Sayyiduna Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu. In this 39 episode of the lives of the Sahaba and the 22nd episode about Sayyiduna Umar radiallahu anhu, and of course these are like short episodes that will never be enough to fulfill the right of Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu and mention his amazing attributes. So we mentioned that the Khilafah of Sayyiduna Umar radiallahu anhu, it was the main Khilafah in which we had stability and security in the Muslim Ummah, and also a lot of expansion and a lot of achievements, and Muslims had a lot of glory and a lot of izzah in the time of Sayyidina Umar. This izzah which is unfortunately missing nowadays. This glory that Muslims had in the time of Sayyidina Umar is absolutely missing. And anyone who thinks otherwise, he doesn't know anything about the Muslim world. We have our third holiest place is occupied, Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa in Palestine. We have so many Muslim countries under either direct or indirect occupation and problems and etc. So it is very important to go back to the lives of those great people to see what they did and how they brought the Muslim Ummah to that level of glory and izzah where the biggest superpowers in their time, which are the Persians and the Romans, they submitted to them. Right? In the time of Sayyidina Umar, today like Russia and the USA, the two superpowers. In the time of Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu, the two superpowers submitted to him. He conquered both of them. Sayyiduna Umar radiallahu anhu. So we need to know this great man and those great people. What are their characteristics? What their characteristics were? What they were special for? It is extremely important to learn from those lessons. So let's start inshallah with a hadith that shows us that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam prophesied and knew that the time of Sayyidina Umar will be that time. And then once he dies, once he is killed, radiallahu anhu, the trials will start in the Muslim Ummah and will not finish, will not end until the day of judgment. And this is what this hadith tells. From Sayyidina Hudayfa radiallahu anhu, we know he's the secret keeper of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He said, we were with Umar and he said, who among you remembers the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam about the fitna, the trials, the tribulations? He said, Sayyidina Hudayfa said, I know it just as he said it. Then Sayyidina Umar said, say it, you are a daring man. Means you, because of you are daring, is not in the bad sense. You're daring and you want to know and you have this eagerness. So you used to ask Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam a lot, and this is why you knew a lot. So tell us, explain for us. He said, I heard Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying, the fitna of the man or the person is in his the fitna of the person in his family members and his properties and his self and his neighbors will be forgiven by fasting, charity, prayer, and enjoying what is good and forbidding what is evil. Means all of these things, our children, our family members, our spouses, our neighbors, our property, ourselves, all of these things are fitna for us, means a test. So sometimes we do not fulfill the rights of these things of these people. And those shortcomings and those sins that we commit in regard with these people or these things that we are interested in or entrusted with, these sins can be forgiven by fasting, charity, prayer, enjoining what is good, amr bil ma'ruf, and forbidding what is evil, and advising people. And Sayyidina Umar, no, I'm not asking you about this. I'm not asking you about the fitna or the tribulations of a person which is in regard with his property or his money or his family. No, I'm asking you about the one إنما أريد التي تموج كموج البحر. I'm asking you about this big fitna that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam once talked about, which heaves up and down like the waves of the ocean. This fitna is very big, is very strong, is very confusing. It really confuses people. As Rasulullah said sallallahu alaihi wasallam, يصبح الحليم فيها حيران. The forbearing person and the wise person in that fitna will become like confused. So he said, radiyallahu anhu, I want that fitna which moves up and down and which is very shaking and very heaving up and down like the waves of the sea. He said, O Amir of the believers, O leader of the believers, ما لك ولها. Well, don't worry about it. This is in Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim. There is a door between you and it. There's a closed door between you and that fitna. Means it's not going to be in your reign. It will not take place in your khilafah. Then he said, Sayyiduna Umar radiallahu anhu, or sorry, this Sahabi, Sayyidina Hudayfa, he said, Sayyidina Umar says, فَيُكْسَرُ الْبَابُ أَوْ يُفْتَحُ. Will this door be broken or opened? Will it be opened normally or will it be broken? He said, no, it will be broken. So it will not be opened normally, it will be broken. Then he said, Sayyidina Umar, ذَاكَ أَحْرَى أَنْ لَا يُغْلَقَ أَبَدًا. This means it is more possible that this door will never be closed again. And that is exactly what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned in the hadith. Means this door, which is the door of the fitna, the door that when it is opened or broken, it will lead to the fitna, and the beginning of the fitna in the ummah, it will be broken, and it was broken by the killing of Sayyiduna Uthman radiallahu anhu, or more precisely by the killing of Sayyidina Umar himself. Once he was killed, as we know, he was stabbed while he was praying. Then the time of the fitna started with the killing of Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu. The beginning of Sayyidina Uthman's time, it was good, then it started. So the introduction was with Sayyidina Umar, then it reached its peak in the time of in the killing of Sayyidina Uthman, as we will see later on, radiallahu anhu wa. Then he said, Sayyidina Umar, this means if it was broken, like if a door is broken, you cannot close it, right? It's not easy to close it, you need to fix it. But if it is open just normally, you can close it normally and easily. And this is what he meant. ذَاكَ أَحْرَى أَنْ لَا يُغْلَقَ أَبَدًا. This means this door will not be closed again. And this is what mentioned in the hadith, like in Sunan Tirmidhi, Rasulullah said sallallahu alayhi wasallam, when the sword is raised in my ummah, means is unsheathed among my ummah, means against themselves, it will not be lifted, or it will not stop until the day of judgment. And this is from also clear in the other hadith that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us that the problem of this ummah will be from within. The enemy of the ummah will be from within. Our problem is an internal problem. Yes, there are superpowers and they're doing a lot of stuff, but our main problem is ourselves. Look in Syria, look in Iraq, look, we're fighting each other. And the world is watching and providing us weapons so that we kill one another. That's these ahadith, dear brothers, and sisters, it is to show us how to deal with these trials and tribulations. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is telling us that our problems is from within ourselves. Imam Ibn Qasim, he mentions that these trials might sometimes reach its peak and sometimes might go down, but it will remain until the day of judgment. Then a group of the Sahaba, or a group of the Tabi'in, they were with Sayyiduna Hudayfa. They said, هل كان عمر يعلم من الباب? Did Umar know what the Bab represented? Because this is like a metaphor, right? This is a metaphor. So Hudayfa was asked, did Umar know what the door meant? He said, yes, just as you know that this night will be followed by a day or by the morning. So he absolutely knows. And I told him a hadith which is not like fiction. It is something I heard from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. ليس بالأغاليط. Then they said, those people, they said, we dared not ask Hudayfa about the door. Then we asked Masruq to ask him. Then he said, when he asked him, he said Umar. So that is the door. Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu, his reign was the reign of security and stability and achievements. Then when he passed away, means the door was broken and the trials started. Now let us move, inshallah, to the khutbah that Sayyiduna Umar started his reign with, according to Imam al-Hakim in his Mustadrak and many hadith books and history books. We find this khutbah, which is very important and very informative and beneficial, inshallah, for us. What did Sayyidina Umar start his reign with, and what is the khutbah? Then we will start mentioning about some of his policies, some of his dealings with the community members, how he cared for his people. Many and very important and beneficial and nice stories, inshallah, we will learn from this great Sahabi who led the Muslim Ummah for 10 years, which was full of achievements. So Sa'id bin Musayyib radiallahu anhu, one of the greatest of the Tabi'een, he said, when Umar took over, he ascended the minbar of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the podium, and he praised Allah and thanked Allah, and he said, O people, I know that you used to know of me that I was harsh or strict, and I was with Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. أنا كنت مع رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فكنت عبده وخادمه. I was like his servant and just at his command. And he sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he was, as you know, as Allah said, بالمؤمنين رؤوف رحيم. He was with the believers very gentle, very merciful, very kind, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And I was before him, means I was with him like the unsheathed sword, unless he wants to sheath me back or stop me. So I am like his guard, I'm ready there like a sword which is ready in his hand. So whenever he needs something, I'm right away at his command. And we know many stories, right? We know when that person came and he helped the Prophet and Sayyidina Umar right away, he said. So we know many stories how Sayyidina Umar, we mentioned about this before, his love and his care for Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Then he said, I continued being this way with Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took his soul and he was pleased with me. فَالْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ عَلَى ذَلِكَ كَثِيرًا وَأَنَا بِهِ أَسْعَدُ. So I praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and thank him for this a lot, and I am happy with that. Then I took the same position with Abu Bakr, the Khalifa of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And he was, as you know, he was generous and very kind and gentle and lenient. So I served him, I was his servant. Look at his humbleness. Look at his, radiyallahu anhu, humility before people and service to people. And he said, I was like the unsheathed sword before him. And I used to mix my strictness with my leniency. إلا أن يتقدم إلي فأكف. Unless he stops me, then I will listen. Unless when he tells me stop, I will stop. And I continued this way until Allah took his soul and he was pleased with me. So I praise Allah a lot and I am happy with that. Then ثم صار أمركم إلي اليوم. Then your affair, this affair of yours, moved to me. And I know that one of you would say, oh, he was very strict without being our leader. So now, what will happen now since he became the leader? So they were afraid that now he will be even more strict and more. He said, no, that you know me, that you have known me. And I have learned from the sunnah of your beloved, of your Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam by Allah's blessings. He's saying, by Allah's blessings, I have learned from the sunnah, from the way, from the method of your Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I never regretted anything that I wanted to ask Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam about, except that I asked him about. So it means I asked him about everything that I wanted to ask him about. And know that my strictness that you used to see will increase, double or many folds, since I am in charge, but it will be against the oppressors and the wrongdoers, and it will be employed to take the right for the weak from the strong ones. And after my strictness, after this strictness of mine, I will put my cheek, right? Cheek, right? I will put my cheek on earth for the poor and the weak. And I will observe your rights. So I will humble myself and I will be like a servant to the poor and the weak ones. And وَإِنِّي لَا أُبَالِي كان بيني وبين أحد في أحسابكم أن أمشي معه إلى من أحببتم منكم فينظر فيما بيني وبينه. And I don't care, I will walk with any one of you, regardless of his lineage, regardless of his position. I will walk with him until I give him his right. Allahu Akbar. That's Sayyiduna Umar radiallahu anhu, whose justice filled the earth, as they say. فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ عِبَادَ اللَّهِ. So, O servants of Allah, have taqwa of Allah and help me against yourselves. Help me against your own desires. أَعِينُونِي عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِكُمْ بِكَفِّهَا عَنِّي. Help me against your own selves by stopping or by avoiding them, making your souls avoid my punishment and my strictness. Don't do something wrong, so that, because if you don't do something wrong, you know I'm strict, you have to be punished for it. وَأَعِينُونِي عَلَى نَفْسِي. Also help me against my own self. Allahu Akbar. What humbleness, what greatness this is. Where are the leaders who have these qualities, who tell people, please help me against my own weaknesses, against my own mistakes. If I make mistake, please advise me. Who does this? Who does this? Who are the ones who are doing this? Now we find exactly the opposite. Now we find people or leaders, they think they don't make no mistakes, and if you give them a piece of advice, maybe they will get upset, and inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. That's not how the leaders should be, and that's not how every Muslim should be. He said, help me against my own self by enjoining what is good and forbidding what is evil, and showing me advice in what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has entrusted me with. Then he descended from the minbar, and Sayyiduna Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib radiyallahu anhu ardah said, by Allah, this is one of the best of the students of Sahaba. He said, by Allah, he fulfilled what he said. And he was strict against the oppressors and the wrongdoers and the people of doubt. And on the other hand, he was kind and gentle with the people of truth, regardless of who they were. From this khutbah now, this is the speech, as they say, and we will see the practice. As Sayyiduna Abdullah Sayyidina Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib said, that he fulfilled what he said. And absolutely he did, because he is a true believer, radiallahu anhu wa ardah. So we read in many narrations that one time a man, he gave him a piece of advice, and he said, "Oh Umar, you have been entrusted with the affair of this ummah, so fear Allah. Fear Allah in this trust and in your own self. So have taqwa in your own self, because you are muhasab and mas'ul. Allah will ask you and you will be brought to account." Look, who can say this to a leader now? They talk about democracy and rights and freedom of expression. They did not reach this. Now we find some leaders or presidents, if a journalist asks him a question, they say, no, be silent, no, be silent, no. They will not let them ask. Sayyiduna Umar, look at this person. He's saying to him, you will be brought to account, and you are responsible for this position, and you are a trustee, and you have to fulfill this trust, and you will be given the reward according to your actions, according to your work. So what did Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu say? He did not tell, take him out of the room, take him out of the He did not tell them, take him out of the room, or take him. As we see now, the oppressors and dictators and some people who claim to be like democratic or whatever. Sayyidina Umar said, "Ma sadaqani rajulun منذ استخلفت غيرا." I have not met a man who has been truthful and sincere with me other than you. Means from the people who talk to me, you have been the truthful one and the sincere one by giving me this advice and reminding me of my responsibility. And here also we have to remember, dear brothers, ourselves, because Rasulullah told us sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the authentic hadith, كلكم راع وكلكم مسؤول عن رعيته. All of you are shepherds, like shepherds, and everyone will be questioned about what he has been entrusted with. The man in his house, the woman in her house, the worker in his workplace. Everyone, as Rasulullah said sallallahu alaihi wasallam, all of us are shepherds, and we will be questioned about the trust that we have been entrusted with. Another narration we find Sayyidina Hudayfa radiallahu anhu, he said, I visited Umar and he was sitting in his house talking to himself. Then I told him, "O Amir al-Mu'mineen, what happened? What are you thinking about?" Then he pointed with his hands, and Sayyidina Hudayfa said, "By Allah, if we see something wrong that you're doing, we're gonna fix you. We're gonna force you if we need to return to the path." Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu, he was very happy. He said, "By Allah, the one who there is no one worthy of worship but Him, if you see me doing something wrong, you will fix it and you will remind me." He said, "Yes, by Allah. If we see this, we will do it." Then Sayyidina Umar, he rejoiced a lot. فَفَرِحَ بِذَلِكَ فَرَحًا شَدِيدًا. He was very happy. And he said, all praise and thanks be to Allah, who made among the companions of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam the one who will fix my mistakes and give me advice when he see me doing wrong. Radiyallahu anhu warda. And he said, "O people, you have إن لنا عليكم حقا النصيحة بالغيب والمعاونة على الخير." That we have a right over you, O people. What is that right? To advise us. To advise us and give us admonition and reminders, and to help us to do the good. Also it was narrated that he radiallahu anhu said, and look at this amazing word that we learned from our sheikhs, and that we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be our characteristic. It is narrated that he said, the most beloved person to me is the one who shows me my mistakes. And in another narration we learned from our sheikhs, may Allah have mercy on the person who gift to me my mistakes. Where is this? Where is this characteristic among our Muslim communities, among the Muslims? Where is this? You give a piece of advice to someone, they treat you in a bad way, and instead of thanking you, if we really think that when someone is gifting a mistake to you, drawing your attention to, if you have something on your clothes, some dirt on your clothes, and someone reminds you, want to be happy? Should not you thank them because they draw your attention to something which is not good on your clothes? So what is more important, the clothes or the soul and the character and the iman and the akhlaq? So if someone gives you a mistake or draws your attention to a flaw or a defect in your character, in your behavior, in your dealings with people, wallahi, you should be so grateful and thankful and tell him, please don't be hesitant to give me any piece of advice anytime. May Allah reward you, may Allah bless you. That's how we're supposed to behave. That is the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his great Sahaba radiyallahu anhum wa ardahum. Sayyiduna Umar radiyallahu anhu, and we'll finish with this hadith, we have 1 more minute. He was very afraid of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He was a man of khashya, awe and fear of Allah, and muraqaba, a man who is aware that Allah is watching him everywhere. In all of his affairs, radiallahu anhu, this is how he used to deal with his people. In a hadith narrated by Imam Ahmad in his book Az-Zuhd, it says that Sayyiduna Muawiyah bin Hudayj, he came upon the conquest of Alexandria, and Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu came, and a young girl, she came and she saw that he's a traveler. So she let him, she served him, she brought some bread and olive and date. That's the food of the emir, of the leader, of the president. The president or the leader whose state was in our time like 4 or 5 or 6 countries, Syria, Jordan, Lebanon, Palestine, some of Egypt, some of Iraq, etc., etc. He sat and he ate bread and olive and date. Then Sayyiduna Umar said to Muawiyah, this Sahabi, not Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan, another Sahabi, he said, what did you say when I came to the masjid? He said, I said that the Amir of the believers will take his nap. Then Sayyidina Umar said, بِئْسَ مَا قُلْتَ أو بِئْسَ مَا ظَنَنْتَ. No, that's not a good thing what you said or what you thought. If I sleep during the day, means I'm not going to take any nap. Who told you I'm going to take a nap? I'm not going to take any nap. If I sleep during the day, I will lose the ra'iyya, or I will waste the rights of my community members. لَأُضَيِّعَنَّ الرَّعِيَّةِ. Who's going to take care of my community members? Who's going to serve them? Who's going to follow their affairs, etc.? And if I sleep at night, I will waste my own self. Because if I don't keep some time at night to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to seek Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's forgiveness, then I'm losing my own soul. So if I sleep during the day, I'm going to lose my community members, I'm not going to fulfill their rights. And if I sleep all night, I'm not going to fulfill my right, I'm not going to elevate my soul, I'm not going to clean my soul, etc. فَكَيْفَ بِالنَّوْمِ مَعَ هَذَيْنِ يَا مُعَاوِيَةَ. And how can I sleep with these two things? Having responsibility towards this ummah and having the responsibility also towards my own soul. That is Sayyiduna Umar radiyallahu anhu wa arda. Final hadith, authentic narration narrated by Imam Ibn Sa'd in his Tabaqat. He said, if a camel dies because of my negligence, a camel from the camel of the Muslims, from the camel of the charity or the camel of the state, yani anything that belongs to the Khilafah, to the state of the Muslims, if a camel dies because of my negligence, I will absolutely fear Allah, that Allah will ask me about it. So, and we have even more statements about his care even for the animals, and we mentioned one of them the other day, that he said if a sheep or an animal on the streets of Iraq falls, I would be afraid that Allah will ask me, "Oh Umar, why did not you pave the way for it?" So these are, it looks like ideals, but these are facts that we have, that we believe in, and that were achieved in reality by those great people who were the greatest people after the Prophet ﷺ. And we know Sayyiduna Umar radiallahu anhu took number 50 in the ranking of the most 100 influential people over the history of humankind, according to Michael Hart in his book, the 100. Still, we don't agree with that, but at least this is a non-Muslim writer who has many PhDs, put a ranking for the most influential 100 personalities over history until this century. He put Sayyiduna Umar radiallahu anhu number 50. So that's a non-Muslim's testimony about Sayyiduna Umar radiallahu anhu. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raise his levels. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shower him with more blessings. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us to follow his footsteps and to take care of our responsibilities and fulfill our responsibilities in the way that pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also help us to give time to our souls during the night, so that we will not lose our souls. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us, accept from us, forgive all Muslims and believers, and give relief to our brothers and sisters who are suffering everywhere. May Allah unite all Muslims everywhere. May Allah unite our hearts. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bring us back to our religion and back to our glory. Sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Jazakumullah.